Good morning, Seller Sessions. I have with me this morning Mr. Jason Wong, who I just found out he's kind of my neighbor here in Orange County. How are you, Jason, this morning?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Sorry to have woken you up so early. I know for us Californians, it's pretty early to start a week with a full-on podcast, right?
I do this a lot. It's okay. I've done earlier.
That's amazing. Have you do you ever do any like overseas? Do people invite you from like overseas? Do you have to stay up late or get up super early?
Uh, Thankfully, they have been able to work around my schedule, but no, like I've done 6 a.m., 7 a.m. It's 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 early, but it wakes you up and it gives you more time to work on the day. So
That's
you're a
right.
little thankful for it after.
That's right. So what you're saying is you're not one of those 5 a.m. Wake ups person, right?
No, no, not that type of person.
Do you think that that correlates with success? You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, you wake up at 5, you get so much more done." You are very successful yourself. What is your morning routine like? Actually, before we start anything, I'm curious myself.
Oh, no, I think everyone has their own internal body clock on in terms of when they wake up and how they work better. I'm personally a night owl. I'm very nocturnal, so I'll work till like 2, 3 a.m., but that's when I'm the most creative. That's where the most work gets done. So I mean, in terms of like hours a day that I work, it's still longer than most other people, but I sleep until like 11 a.m. So, that kind of debunks the myth and the misconception that you have to wake up at a certain time. I think it's just whenever your body allows you to.
Right. I like that. Yeah. For the longest time, I just felt so bad because I'm like, why can I not wake up at 5? If I wake up at 5, I am tired the whole day. So
Yeah.
I can't really get anything done. But I am more of a night owl like yourself. So I can understand that. So tell us a little bit about who you are for those that don't know you.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Jason Wong. I'm the founder of Still Beauty. I'm also the CEO of Wonghaus Ventures, which is a brand incubator. What we do at Wonghaus is that we create and accelerate our own e-commerce consumer brands. And Doe Lashes is one of the brands that I started. A lot of people know me from teaching at Shopify. At Shopify, I teach my $500 start course, which is the framework that I teach on how do you start your business with $500. So that's where you might see me around on.
That's amazing. When did you start Dough? It's quite a popular brand. I see it in quite a few places, and you have a big following on Instagram for that. When did you create that one?
About like a year and a half ago, like almost 2 years now.
Are you doing strictly Shopify, or do you play with Amazon a little bit?
Amazon makes up maybe like 2% of our overall revenue, or it's not a big channel for us at all. It's more so an extension of if people want to buy from us on Amazon to get free shipping, but most of our sale is really on Shopify. It's really just through our own network of social media accounts, our Facebook ads, all pushing to Shopify.
So, would you consider yourself a Facebook ad expert after doing it for so long?
Oh, no one's really an expert anymore, right? They change the algorithm on you. Everyone starts from zero.
So how do you go about marketing such a competitive product? I mean, eyelashes, talk about a competitive product. That's pretty tough, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's definitely a very saturated market, but I think at the end of the day, the person who makes the best product here will stand up on top. And personally, I care a lot about the quality of the product I make. We create the softest, most comfortable pair of lashes. You can't really get that out there for that price. So I think just understanding our core messaging and understanding who our core audience is helps a lot in driving down that CPA. There's also the idea of putting a lot more focus on retention. That's how we're able to stay competitive. You can't really afford to be in a competitive market unless you have a really good retention system going on.
So you think that's probably the most important part when you are working with such a competitive product? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Retain that customer.
absolutely. Every customer that you bring on has to bring in another one or two customers. That's kind of the idea.
And what are your strategies to maintain that?
We have a really good referral system, referral framework, if you want to call that, where we get every person who comes on to make a purchase to have the chance to invite other customers to come on and try the product. And then they also get a discount. So a referral program, that framework. And the idea is that we know what our LTV is, and we know that even if we do lose a little money on the first order, we'll also win them back on the next order. So understanding what our LTV is, like lifetime value to the customer, and knowing that if we can get one customer at a certain price, but then they bring in another two customer, we can bring that CPA down to a point where it makes sense for us.
I got it. Do you run any other brands at the same time, or this is your primary focus right now?
Yeah, this is my only brand now. I sold off all my other ones. I do B2B a lot, so most of my focus is actually on the B2B side of the business, where we provide supply chain and logistics for companies, for e-commerce companies. So a lot of people, instead of going through Alibaba or AliExpress, they actually come to us now. Whether they're drop shipping or they're having a consumer brand, they come to us to create the product for them. We also have a warehouse in China where we pick, pack, and ship products for people and get them here in about 9 days, so faster than any other drop shipping agent.
That's amazing. Is that because of the connections you have created over the years with China? How are you able to get them sooner than everyone else?
Partnerships, really, really good partnerships, getting priority shipments, online. Yeah, we have a warehouse in China with about 36 employees now, and our main focus is making drop shipping a lot more accessible to people and making it honestly a better experience. I've dabbled a little bit in drop shipping just to see how it works, and I just know there's a lot of problems where the business model is honestly fine, but the shipping speed and the product quality just wasn't up to par. So I set out to solve that with this new company I created called Drophouse. And the idea is that we want to be an extension of your e-commerce company. We can give you the fast shipping, we can get you the really good product quality without the hassle that you usually have to go through. And so far it's been going pretty good.
How old is that company? Is this service?
Ooh, that started in July of last year. So it's
So
still real baby.
in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, and that's when it really flourished, because everyone was struggling with drop shipping during the pandemic. No one was really figuring out how do we do it properly. Can I even do it? Can I even ship items from China? And that's when we swooped in. Our first two clients were like PPE, masks, and electronics, which were really big sellers during the pandemic, and that really helped propel the program a lot faster.
And do you just have people recommending your service? Or do you utilize Facebook again to market the service?
Oh, this one is entirely zero marketing. It's all word of mouth. You do a good job at one person, and then they refer you to another person. You know how it is in e-commerce, right? Like everyone knows each other. If you do a good enough job, they'll refer you. We have run zero ads to date.
I agree. That's how Rangbell pretty much came to be, and has been sustaining a very successful rate over the past 6-7 years. So I completely understand that. Most of our listeners here are FBA sellers, but once in a while we have drop shippers too. So anything you can tell us about somebody, let's say a brand new brand is being created today, somebody doesn't have any type of experience at all, what is the one thing that you would recommend? I mean, there's so many different channels to start selling. Like, you are preferring Shopify, a lot of people prefer FBA. Like, which one is the best one today? Let's put it this way.
It really depends on your product. I think Amazon is such a powerhouse on its own for certain products. Like our branded products don't survive on Amazon. But Amazon, the beauty of Amazon,
why do you say
uh,
that?
it's just too competitive with Amazon. Doesn't really caring about brand. Like when people shop on Amazon, they don't care about the brand as much as someone that shops on Shopify. So it really depends on what's your objective, right? Like I'm not gonna go out and say that one is objectively better than the other. I don't think so at all. I think Amazon is great if you're selling very hyper focused item on either supplements, health, electronics, beauty. but it doesn't have to be a brand anymore. You don't have to be a conglomerate to make it on Amazon. As long as you have really good pictures, you have good ranking, good listings, like that's what matters on Amazon. If you're able to get that right, you're fine. You can do it with no branding. But on Shopify and any other DTC, direct to consumer stores, you need that brand, you need that whole experience. So it's a different ball game. And I think they both make a good amount of money. They take different amount of work. The framework to do it is different too. And I think for anyone really wanting to get into Amazon, honestly, stick to Amazon if you feel like you have a product fit for Amazon. But if it doesn't work on Amazon, you can always try it on the brand side for Shopify. That's kind of how I see about it.
Yeah, a lot of sellers start on Amazon wanting to move away from Amazon. They create this social proof that they are selling on Amazon, and then they want to build their brand off of Amazon. And then I come across people like yourself that start on Shopify, are super successful, and you're just putting a handful on Amazon just if somebody's looking for that free shipping, right? It's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like for us, Amazon was never really the selling channel, just because it's so competitive. Like if you look on Amazon, the next best selling eyelash brand has like 20,000 reviews, and it's just a picture of lashes on a tray, no brand name. It's some like Chinese name on there. It's as cheap as it can get be. You cannot beat them on price, and you already lose out on the search ranking. So it's really hard for us to move our resources over to Amazon. And like honestly, if we really want to try, we could. It just takes too much resources away from our other like our actual Shopify store. And so that's kind of how I see it. It's like I don't think Amazon's a bad channel. I don't think one is superior than the other. It really depends on what's your objective. Like if you just have a really good product idea that you think will absolutely crush on Amazon, like things like electronics, supplements, health, those do the best right now, right? If you have something like that, then go for it. But anything else, if you go for the branded experience, you're gonna have to take it away from Amazon.
Right. What do you think would be a good amount? This is a question I get all the time. Like, if you were to start a brand right now, what would you say an amount would be?
People, either hiring someone junior or hiring a VA. The more skill sets you have, the less you have to hire. So when I was able to create my brand with $5 million, that's because I knew how to do everything. I could do design, I could do web design, inventory, operations, customer support, marketing. I knew how to do every position, so that's how I save money. But if you just come in and you don't know how to do anything, you're most likely gonna have to hire a consultant. You're gonna have to hire someone on an hourly basis. Then your costs will go up there. But in general, I would say maybe $2,000 to $5,000 is a good starting point to get your inventory out and then get you at least some padding for marketing. But honestly, the more skill sets you have, the more you can offset your expenses.
I love that. That's very good. I don't think a lot of people take that in consideration when they think of the starting amount. They usually think of just the product cost, but there's all these other skills that you need to hire for. So completely agree. What is one channel that you use for finding your rock stars? Because that's another thing that people are having issues with, finding really somebody that's very focused and wants to work for your company. Like, what is your secret when it comes to that, would you say?
I hire within my network first. So look around you, see who are the 5 people that you really respect in the field that you're trying to hire in marketing, e-commerce, FBA. And you go out to them and ask them for their recommendations for 5 people that will fit into your role. And if you need to be, you can extend it to another 5 people. And there you go. You have like 75 people right there and there on who you can hire. But obviously that's ideally if everyone replies to you. So the first thing I do is always go within my circle of recommendation, people that I respect, people that I think is qualifying for this job, but obviously either I cannot afford them or just not the right fit. They might know someone who they have vetted, because if I hold that person to a high standard, they will also hold their own recommendations to a high standard. So high within a circle. Next will probably be LinkedIn. Just looking around Instagram to see who is the right fit. And then the last resort will be going to a recruiter, but recruiter costs a lot more money. They take about 15-20% of the annual salary of the person they recruit for you. So obviously the last resort, but that's how I'll go about it.
And you were able to hire through this all of these channels, including the recruiter.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've done different recruiting depending on the stages of our company too. Like when we first started, obviously you can't just go out and hire a recruiter and spend 20% of all your earnings into one single person. So we went straight for, the personal connections, like the people around me, hiring them for a freelancer contractor basis or hourly basis, and then slowly move into like, hiring more senior people up. It's like it's different approaches to recruiting, right? There's pros and cons depending on the budget too.
How many employees do you have right now, or contractors total?
Right now, I have about 16.
16. They're all in US?
Mm-hmm. All US people.
Amazing. Do you have any VAs overseas?
One VA. Only one is a VA.
And
Yeah, everyone's an employee.
is there a reason why you don't have more VAs? I know a lot of people like to hire overseas VAs because obviously they cost less. What's the reason why you
Yeah,
hire local?
the VAs are great for repeatable and menial tasks, at least from my experience. So far, most of our team members are focusing on the strategy and overseeing the execution, which we felt that US-based contractors has a more reliability compared to VAs. So we use VAs for our customer support, overseeing some of the operations tasks, but most of our team members actually made up of marketing people. Like 80% of our team are marketing. So social media, pay acquisition, overall like general marketing, brand marketing, copywriter, they're all US based. I think for us, we had to hire someone like that.
I love that. And you mentioned you have a quite a large team in China, right?
Yeah, in China, that's a different company. So what I just told you is just for Go, actually.
Right.
The Chinese company is entirely in China with like 2 people doing administrative tasks in the US just to be client facing. But yeah, all the stuff is done in China for that company.
Are you able to visit China this year? Do you think this will be possible for you?
Yeah, I have citizenship that allows me to do so. But thankfully, I've set up the system well enough that I don't have to go back anymore. I used to go back to China like 3, 4 times a year just to look at factories, meet with manufacturers. But now I've built a team that I don't have to go back as often, so it's good so far. I mean, flying just takes you off your rhythm.
Yeah, that that is true. China's wonderful. I went for the first time before the pandemic, and I wanted to go last year, but it didn't happen. So I'm really hoping this year, if not, hopefully at least next year, that we can go back to China. I think it's an amazing place, and you can get very inspired, especially if you go to the Canton Fair and you are an Amazon seller. It's definitely a good
Yeah,
good
no, it's
place to.
great.
Yeah. Have you been going there a lot? Do you go like every year, or what's your?
Yeah, I try to go like at least once a year just to touch base, but it's not as much as like I have to go now. It's just I want to go just to make sure that everything is cleaned up, everything's tidy, but I don't have to go back anymore, which is the good part. Once you don't have the obligation to have to go to places, it's a lot more fun. It's not work anymore. I go back because I want to visit people, not because, oh, if I don't go here, this is just gonna tank. That it's different perspective once you go back there.
And do you feel like that because of how often you go there is what strengthened your relationship with the suppliers in China? Do you feel like that's a big part of it?
Oh yeah, I mean, you and I know this. Like, business is all entirely dependent on people, right? Like, it's who you know, how well you know them, and what you guys can do together. That's a secret. Everyone thinks like there there's a there's like a formula that you follow, but no, it's about being really good to people, making sure that you're providing value, and in return, you do something nice for you down the line. And that's really how business at the top level gets done. That's why lunches and dinners and masterminds are so important, right? Like you meet these people, you build a relationship, and then down the line, there's always working opportunities.
I love that you mentioned that because, I meet a lot of people, and you'll be surprised how many times people say, I don't want to spend money on a mastermind. I think that's useless. It's just people getting together and getting drunk or eating. But I found that, ever since I started going to masterminds and conferences, my business, 5 times to 10x by now after all these years. And if I were to just pinpoint one thing, it would be networking. I mean, we met at a mastermind, and
Mhm.
uh called Geek Out. I know I mentioned it on the show a few times now. And how has that been for you, Jason? I don't know what other masterminds you're in, but Geek Out to me seemed extremely, extremely powerful. That was my first time there.
That I don't go out. I really don't go out. I do it for Nick. But no, Geek Out is honestly great because the event is just one thing, but the real connection comes after the event. You and I know that. Like you and I were both at those places, and it's just the people that you meet are drastically different. Everyone lets their guard down, and you can really ask them the right questions then and there. Because when you're on stage, you're asking these people questions. It's very much like business and technical. But then once you like get to know them after they come off stage, you grab a drink at the bar, that's when you really get to know like what is the secret behind how to do all these things. And that's where the money is made. It's not, how do you run Facebook ads? How do you turn off this ad? What makes you turn off this ad or whatnot? It's none of that. There's so much more behind it that people don't understand. But the caveat here is that you have to personally go out and find it. It's not gonna be handed to you on a silver platter. It's like, hey, make this connection. If you're shy, if you're very introverted, if you want to meet people, you're gone. It's not gonna be worth it for you.
Yeah, but this is the thing. And if you really want to be successful in anything that you do, you will not care about how shy or introvert you are. I mean, of course, most of the places that I go to are, as you probably know, like 80-90% men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intimidated a lot of the times, but it doesn't stop me. Like I met you. I'm like, hey, Jason, do you want to come on my podcast? Like I would have
Mm-hmm.
never able to do that had we not talked to each other a little bit. And this is how you create connections. And I think you're very right. And people do go to these masterminds, and we get to see all these tactics on stage, and they're really great. And once in a while you'll hear somebody say something you've never heard before, but the real networking and the real gold comes after hours. 100%. And I love that you mentioned that, because I want people who are listening to really remember this part, really remember that yes, it's great going to sessions, and it's great listening to all the tactics, but on breaks or at night, like make sure you go and connect with those people that you want to. You'll be surprised how many people don't. Like we're getting ready to go to Prosper. I don't know if you go to ever to any Amazon
Mm-mm.
conference, but Prosper, it's a really good place to create such connections, because everybody that is there, everybody wants to meet each other. And if you're shy and you're not going to speak up, you are going to miss out on a lot of things, for
That's
sure.
that's life in general, right? It's as much as you go out and get it. Like no one's gotta hold your hands through meeting people. It's the same principle will apply to everything. Like you will not start an Amazon store or an e-commerce store and sales just come in. You have to go out, bust your ass to get it. That's the
Right.
whole thing.
That's true. Are you going to be at the Geek Out in Miami coming up soon?
Hmm. I'll see you there.
I will definitely see you there. I got addicted to this mastermind for sure. I do a lot of Amazon conferences and masterminds, and this one was just different. I don't know. I'm not paid to market this, guys. I promise you. But it's just such a good group of people, and um, you get to find out things that you don't usually find out at an Amazon conference, in my opinion. And it's been great. Do you go to any other masterminds? Do you have one of your own, by the way?
No, I don't host any. I actually don't go to any either. It's
Okay.
it's I think mastermind you have to be very careful on which one you go to. Carefully vet it, what kind of people will be there. Otherwise, it's a huge energy drink. Like you go out there, you just socialize. Think about it. You're taking out 3 days of your work day to meet people? What if you put that energy towards something else, right? So the people there have to make sense for you to leave your business to work. And so I'm just very careful, very selective. I only go to the ones that Nick hosts or the one that he recommends. But other than that, there just hasn't really been many good ones. There are at a higher level masterminds that you could do in Bali, for example. You can fly to Bali for a weekend with some other guys, and that's how you do mastermind at a very very high level. I just haven't been able to step away from my work to do that. But yeah, no, there's levels to it. That's all I can say.
Of course. And would you say for those who are looking to enter these high level groups, how do you find out about them?
Mm, Stay connected to the people that you look up to because they typically will post about it. Like any event that we went to, we posted pictures, right?
Mhm.
So if you respect Isabella a lot, go follow her and go to the event that she goes to. So stalk her profile a little bit and find out what event she goes to. It's the same concept.
Right. That makes sense. Are you let's go back to dough. I really love your work there and what you created. Are you thinking of ever selling that?
Yeah, the goal is to always build a brand for about 3 to 5 years and then get it acquired. Probably buy a bigger brand or buy a brand that doesn't have a lash company in their portfolio. So that's really the main goal. So the way that we build the business is very much primed for acquisition. Like right off the bat, it was made to sell.
And you've always done this with your brands, or this just came from having experience and knowing exactly the steps to prepare it now?
I think now for this brand in particular, we know the steps, but previously it was just a lot of try and error. With my previous brands, it didn't sell for as high as a multiplier as I wanted to. But now we know what they're looking for. We know what kind of metrics matter, what kind of systems and processes people look for. And that's when you start building it for sale. The way that you build a company for sale is very different than building a company just for profit is because people that look for acquisitions care about the EBITDA, which is the bottom line, the earnings before interest, and taxes and all that stuff. So what's really your net operating income? And so with that number in mind, we start figuring out, okay, how do we make sure that our bottom line is always padded, like as big as we can get it to be? And then how can we get our retention numbers right? The returning customers, the subscribers to our app, subscriber to our loyalty channel. So like things are recurring. People like to see recurring numbers. That's what makes your valuation high. So we put a lot of focus on making sure that our lash subscription program is really optimized. We make sure that our loyalty, our customer reward program is also optimized. Customer reward program is our program that allows you to redeem points for products in there. Like you ever go on Starbucks and you get an app and they're like, hey, you got like 50 stars. We have a program like that called Bucks. And so just making sure that that program is primed up because the higher that you have in that program, the more attractive you look to for acquisition. So making sure that's right, subscription is right, returning customers, we're at like 35% returning customer rate, which is pretty like above industry like standard for returning customer rate. And then just making sure that our net profit is really good too. All of that combined, building the right systems, processes to make sure that everything's repeatable. That's the key thing. If it's not repeatable, your valuation doesn't matter because someone just buy it and they can't do it. What's the point? So making sure that everything's repeatable. We built really good systems, processes. We built our own tech. So within the back end of our company is actually driven a lot by technology, our automation technology that we built by ourselves. We built our own influencer management systems, all hand built, just to do all this stuff to make sure that our influencer marketing program is always running. So, that's how we're able to build for acquisition, all those things, everything I just listed to you.
That's unbelievable. I love that. So you have a standard operating procedures starting day one till the
Mm-hmm.
day till the day you sell it. And then you
Yep.
take that process and you create another brand and another brand. Would you
Mm-hmm.
be able to scale horizontally too, where you do like 5, 10 brands at a time, or you think that would be too much? Because you already have all the SOPs in place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think 5-10 brands is definitely possible. Um, I want to refine what we have right now a little bit more before we scale up to 5, 10 brands again. We at one point had 7 brands, and that was proven to be doable. It's just too much for me personally to handle because even though 5, 10 brand is good for the brand, I lose my creativity once I have to scale too wide horizontally. So maybe it's a matter of hiring the right people. Maybe hire a couple more people on senior level. But for me, I care a lot about crafting a unique experience for every one of these brands, from the unboxing to the ad to the creative. And once I do too many companies that are very different, I lose that creativity because I no longer can have that time to think
Mhm.
about the creative stuff. I have to think about how do I keep this running. So it's like a dangerous balance, right? Because what's stopping you after you do 5 to 10? You gotta do 50 brands, right? So it's like a slippery slope for me too.
Yes, I can see that. No, I love that you like to focus on one brand, which I mean, you guys, you need to follow Jason on Instagram. He always has the most amazing Instagram stories for yourself, for your own brand, and for Doe. I love you're always in the studio, you're always filming, you're always doing very very creative things. So it just goes to show that even for such a competitive product, you can become very successful. And I love that. It's all about determination and persistence, and waking up at 10 or 11 a.m. but get your work done, right, Jason?
Yep, yep.
I love that you do that. So I know we were going to talk a little bit about how you can build a brand that can survive Facebook. Do you want to go into that just a little bit, and then I will let you go because I know you were super busy.
No, you're good. Thank you. Um, most people know that for Facebook recently, the change came from Apple. Apple stopped allowing you to track people, or not as good as before, the 14.5 update. And that really bugged people. They're like, well, what do I do? Is my business going to tank? And this matters a lot if you're listening to this and you're running Facebook ads right now because you need to diversify as soon as you can. You need to diversify last week. That's how soon you get to it. And the way that we've been able to weather the storm is by diversifying our acquisition channel approach. Most DTC companies go straight for Facebook and they go for Google and they scale through there, but then they ended up having 90% of their customers driven through those two channels. So when Facebook and maybe Google down the line cut you off, you're done. 9% of your sales is done. So what we've been able to do is diversify our acquisition channel pretty evenly. Like Facebook makes up about 25%, Google makes up about 20%, SEO makes up about 20%, influencer marketing makes up of the remaining. So we've been able to diversify our acquisition approach so that one single channel doesn't have their, hand against our neck. If it ever goes down, we always have other channels that we can scale up on. So like really the way to navigate Facebook ads or even scaling during this whole update, and it will update eventually to even stricter restrictions. You will need to diversify very heavily on your retention. So the thing that I just talked about in the beginning of the podcast, where you bring one customer, you get them to bring 2 more customers. That way, you're able to acquire a customer for $20, but if you bring in 3 customers, you can actually acquire 3 customers for $20. That's kind of how the math will go for the basic part. But you do that, you do the retention, making sure that they come back and buy from you a second time. So the 3 people that I just talked about, if they buy from you a second time, you effectively just lower your acquisition cost again. So just understanding how you can make use of what you currently have and create what we call a viral loop. A viral loop is once you bring on someone, they bring in another person, they come back a purchase, and they come back again and again. That's a whole loop, right? So you need to start thinking about just not just acquiring a customer from Facebook once and calling it a day, is acquiring a customer and squeezing every ounce of juice you can get from that customer, whether that is more referrals or more purchases. That's how you survive Facebook. You have to make use of what you have. The next thing was influencer marketing. You want to go organic for sure, making sure that people are finding you in the right places. There's actually a lot of Amazon affiliates on TikTok right now. I'm not sure if you hear, but it's such an amazing platform to discover products. I see Amazon products on TikTok almost every single day. And so these are the companies who know that they want to drive traffic from external sources without pay. So they get a little bit more creative. They go on TikTok, they look at trends, and they hashtag like Amazon find number 237. But they actually do find new products on Amazon and sell every single day. But these are just affiliates. Like I don't think they own the store. They literally go on Amazon affiliates, create a link, and put in the link in bio. They don't even own the store. So just trying to make you think how you can also be very creative in this entire land of uncertainties. Like you don't want to depend on one single platform. Think outside the box. Go for blog posts, affiliates, commissions. Go for the TikTokers. Really think outside of just Facebook. That's how you really diversify.
I love that. And for your when you said you get one person to refer to more, the way you do it for dough, you're using the dough bucks, right? For that, is that how you
Mm-hmm.
implement that? So whenever they send somebody to it, they get all these points that they can later redeem to order your product, right?
Yeah, it's either that or straight up cash discount. We do test like different rewards, but the idea is simple. You just give them a incentive that makes the most sense to them and also makes financial sense to you. If you're willing to go for a break even, then you find your break even point and you max that out to be like, okay, I'm gonna give you the absolute biggest incentive ever while still breaking even for me in the hopes that you'll bring people that will bring in the revenue and bring in the profit.
And that usually works out pretty well, that strategy.
Yeah, it's especially for branded stuff. People love recommending. And the other thing, the last point I want to go over is like people love recommending things for social currency. Like if I have this really cool product and I recommend it to you, Isabella, you use it. I'm like, oh damn, I put her onto that. Like I influenced her to use that thing, right? You also feel really good about yourself. No money involved. Just the fact that you're able to recommend someone to use something that you use makes you feel good. There's that social currency to it, and you just have to really pull those levers, right?
Right. Right. Just like being the first to break out a story, right? You want to be the first.
Exactly. Exactly. You have to leverage that. Like take advantage of it. It's human.
I love that. Those are wonderful advice. Thank you, Jason, so much. Are you an avid reader at all?
I do like to read here and there. Yeah.
What are you reading right now that you can recommend to us?
Huh, what's that book I'm reading right now? It's on my table, but it's this book from the founder of Hubble Contacts. It's called, let me see, Selling Naked.
Okay. How do you
Yeah,
like
it's great because it kind of walks you through the process of launching your brand online. So it's called Selling Naked. You can buy it on Amazon. It's by this guy named Jesse Horwitz. He's the CEO of Hubble Contacts, which is like a $90 million contact lens brand online. And he walks you the process of like how do you really create your brand from start to finish, which I think it's beautiful just to see their working process.
I love that. How many books do you read a year, would you say?
Oh, I can't say like I read a lot of books, like maybe 4 or 5. I read a lot of short form content. Like I'll wake up every morning and I'll go do my newsletter. So I follow newsletters that I like to read in e-commerce. I subscribe to like supply chain newsletters too. And then so I read like maybe an hour or two a day, but on like short form blogs.
What are the
But then,
newsletters that you mentioned?
I read 2 p.m., which is like a e-commerce DTC newsletter. I read Strictly VC, which is a newsletter that tells you about all the companies that got acquired or got funding, which really motivates you once you see people getting acquired for like 50, $60 million. So I follow that every day. But also like that helps me see where the general trend is and what makes a company very prime for acquisition.
That's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know a lot of people who do that. This is really wonderful. A lot of people we like to focus on books. I have books everywhere surrounding me. So this is really good. I'm gonna check them out myself. So thank you, Jason, for being here. I know you said you teach a little bit about Shopify. Do you have a YouTube channel that people can follow you on? Where can people
Oh
find
no, I'm on Shopify. Like if you go on Shopify, so you type in like Google Shopify Jason Wong, you should be able to find my course at Shopify. So I actually teach for Shopify, not
God?
on YouTube. I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have like a blog or anything. I just teach there. Yeah.
I see. Would you be able to have that in the future? Maybe a YouTube channel, or you're just too busy with all your daily operations?
Yeah, eventually I think I would love to get more content out on there, like free content to help people. Definitely need to get myself in the rhythm too. I want to spend more time learning before I teach more too. So just
Mhm.
making sure that what I'm teaching is right.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for being here with us, and we'll see you in Miami.
Alrighty, I'll see you soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.